Have you ever caught yourself feeling as if time literally slips through your fingers until the clock hits midday? Does it feel familiar to be haunted by the sound of your alarm for the duration of the whole morning, no matter how much rest? Feeding two birds with one stone, my answer to both of the questions would be a definite yes. However, is there a way to break the vicious cycle of detesting early mornings? I need to confess to you, so let me walk you through my typical way to get the day started in a not-so-distant past. A crisp and refreshing morning air floating all around. And suddenly, the alarm, aka a major pet peeve of mine, becomes an intruder of my sleep. A sudden burst of irritation inevitably fills up the space, leaving no room for my mind to be clear. An instant grumpy expression in my face makes it obvious that I'm up to no optimistic mood today. As my phone screen's brightness pops up, I gasp with horror. How could it be that it took me that long to simply get out of bed? I rush to throw the most random fit on, mindlessly grab my backpack, and on my way out of the house I realize that my lunch remains in the fridge, my keys were left behind, and apparently I packed all the wrong stuff for the school classes ahead. Finishing that up, I realized that I have completely forgotten about the science test I was supposed to revise for, if only I hadn't lost the track of time the night before. I nervously resort to doom scrolling, hoping that it would calm me down and recharge my batteries. Spoiler alert, the wrong call here. Doesn't really sound like a thrilling way to be spending your morning hours, does it? Not surprisingly, but neither scrolling nor aimless wandering around fixed the situation. Looking back, I see that it only made me feel twice as disoriented, and this morning hatred attitude would haunt me for the duration of the whole day. Even though you technically still have the whole day ahead when the morning is over, the way you get things started largely shapes your mood, productivity, and focus. Perpetually being unsettled, as well as behind my schedule, and feeling to be the only one missing out on everything. The course of my day seemed to be hopeless because 24 hours were simply not enough. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's ever felt this way. Ultimately, the whole morning hatred scenario comes down to our inability to shape a productive and sustainable routine to get the day started in an energizing, not a draining way. What if I tell you that you actually do not hate mornings and that your biases towards them indeed can be changed? Thanks to our brain's neuroplasticity, we're fully capable of rewriting the script, and that is simultaneously both a blessing and a curse. According to Zoe Wyatt, the feedback loops between basal ganglia and various cortical areas are responsible for gradual integration of new behavior into established routine. In other words, repetition and reinforcement are crucial to have a habit entrenched so that it feels like a shortcut for our brain and we just automatically go for it. Therefore, the more you snooze that alarm 5 times in a row, the more you go for scrolling the feed first things first after opening your eyes, the stronger neuron connections are formed in your brain and the harder it gets for you to get out of the cycle of self-deception. After all, who's the imposter hiding behind our decision to put that perfect morning routine off until tomorrow that eventually never comes? According to an article, Why We Procrastinate, The Science of Putting Things Off by Flores, 2 primary regions of our brain are involved here. The limbic system, aka emotional brain, which seeks short-term fulfillment, and prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for more complex cognitive processes such as decision-making and long-term planning. Naturally, our brain strives to allocate our cognitive resources in a more efficient way in order to save up energy for later on. Therefore, when an immediate satisfaction seems to be more pleasurable, we tend to neglect a much more beneficial potential outcome of delayed gratification, and that is when going for the easier choice comes into the game. So, before we keep going, here are 2 questions that I would like you to give a thought of. What is your vision of a desired morning routine, and does it actually align with your workload and your lifestyle in general? I could talk about writing out a by-minute strict plan for each day to be followed, but that is not what I'm here for. In fact, the idea that I'm going to convey is actually all about the power of creating smart shortcuts. There are 3 key factors that contribute to a successful repetition of a new behavior, and these are happiness, consistency, and gradual implementation. I truly see the power in one step ahead rule, which basically means that today, you dedicate a little time to make your life tomorrow easier. Therefore, if you're determined to take up running, signing up for a marathon training straight away isn't the best choice. Instead, prepare your running outfit the night before and run just for 3 minutes each morning for the first week, 5 minutes each morning for the next week, etc. You see where I'm going. Now, let's talk about a massive sleeping schedule. According to Lawrence Epstein, an assistant professor at Harvard Medical School, students who slept 6 hours or less a night performed as badly and felt as poorly as those who went without sleep for 48 hours. Consequently, there is simply no way that you can build a productive routine while struggling from sleep deprivation. What has really helped me a lot was unwinding from social media at least 1 hour before going to bed so that my brain doesn't get overstimulated. Sleeping mode on apps and setting reminders, even with some kind of ridiculous messages to your future self, actually works really nicely. Last but not the least, how about getting yourself going when your energy levels are really low? And that is when the concept of structured procrastination, suggested by a Stanford philosopher John Perry, should join the game. The idea basically suggests that you purposely prioritize putting less urgent, but still equally productive tasks first in order to kind of warm yourself up for a more challenging task which still remains in your to-do list. And that is why I strongly encourage you to write that to-do list the night before the upcoming day. Consequently, putting small but still equally important tasks such as making yourself a nutritious breakfast, going out for a walk, journaling, doing yoga, etc., will bring more peace and purpose to your mornings, as well as set the right mood for the day ahead so that you're simply excited about getting going and about getting that task that you had been putting off done. I know that technically the concept may feel like cheating because it does have a word procrastination, but trust me, practicing it made me feel as if I unlocked an additional hour to the 24 already existing ones. I know that hearing all of that at once may indeed feel quite exhausting, but our inner eye truly knows that being a morning hatreds ambassador is so much more overwhelming. I want you to keep in mind that every single step that you take should answer 2 simple questions. Why am I going to do this, and what is it going to lead me to? So now, why don't you grab your journal that's been sitting in your drawer for a while and write down just 3 things that could make your mornings feel more pleasurable. Make sure to put those ticks there when you get those things done the upcoming morning. Thank you.